Hi folks, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Payal and I am a traveler who also loves to meet people. And I think a blend of both is where this concept of melting pot has come about. In my Melting Pot series, I will be talking to lots of inspiring people from different parts of the world and also from different cultures, whom I meet during all my travels. The common factor between these folks will be the desire to follow their passion and make it a way of life. So step into this melting pot and enjoy the chats. Hi everyone, I'm back with another episode of Melting Pot. Today I'm in conversation with the very lovely and very inspirational Purnota Bahl. And Purnota is the founder of Cuddles Foundation India. And I'm going to leave Purnota to talk about Cuddles Foundation, but just as a very quick introduction, I wanted to say that the Cuddles Foundation India, as I have now understood, is the only non-profit in India which provides the necessary nutrition to underprivileged children who are suffering from cancer. And I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm always in awe of people who make it their life's mission to save lives. Seriously. Thank you so much for being a part of Melting Pot, and I can't wait to hear all about the Cuddles Foundation. So, over to you.
Hi Payal. Hi everyone. Thank you for having me here. As I told you, it's exciting to be here and I'm looking forward to talking to you about Cuddles Foundation. Now, that introduction was really lovely. What I would like...
I don't think it was enough though.
Sure. So what I want to add to that is Cuddles Foundation is the only foundation in the world.
Are you serious?
That focuses on nutrition for children who are fighting cancer.
Wow.
So we were set up about 6 years back.
So how did that actually come about? I did read a little bit about it online, but I want to hear it from you.
So then we'll have to rewind it to the year, I think 2011.
Okay.
When me and my husband were donors with the Tata Memorial Hospital in Bombay.
Okay.
So Tata Memorial is India's premier oncology hospital. Mm-hmm. And we were donors because it's a really beautiful, really transparent system.
Okay.
And it is a hospital that serves the most underserved population in India. So lots of underprivileged kids there. So I had just delivered my firstborn and I was on a sabbatical.
Okay.
And, I got a call from a doctor at Tata Memorial saying that since you're home, why don't you come and meet the kids you are sponsoring.
Right.
So I ended up going to the hospital. And when I walked into the hospital, I was really not prepared to see what I saw. I saw little kids. I walked into this room. It was hot, stuffed with little kids who were bald. They were sick. Lots of kids had IVs and mums holding IV bottles in their hands.
Oh gosh.
And those kinds of things you really don't see. And I was just not prepared for it. So it was difficult. And I was ready to leave within the first 10 minutes of being there. But the head
obviously the visual impact of it must have been quite traumatic for you.
It was.
Yeah.
And I was a new mom.
Yeah.
And, just every time I looked at a kid, because I was a mom, I felt like, oh gosh, I can feel what that mother's feeling.
Yeah.
And how she's feeling and how she's sitting there. Oh gosh, this child is hungry.
Yeah.
Lots of children cry there not because they're sick, but because they are hungry, because they're there for blood tests. And when a child is there for a blood test, they have to do it empty stomach. And because it's a government hospital, they have to wait long hours, so you can't feed the kids anything.
Right.
So it's jarring to the senses. Like, it's hard enough to see sick kids, and then, they're hungry, and then, there's nothing you can do about it. So all of that. Anyway, so the head of social services said that, why don't you go up and meet those kids? Up means the ward.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say no to her.
Right.
And I ended up going to the ward, and it was one child after the other with really compelling, really heartbreaking stories. For example, I did speak about it yesterday. One child who was abandoned by her parents.
Yeah.
She was 12. She was so emaciated. She looked tiny, like a 6-7 years old. And her 8 or 9-year-old sister stayed back to take care of her. So both children, one was sick, the other one was taking care of her, running for reports. And that broke my heart. And I think as I was walking out of the ward, I think what really changed it for me, like the course of my life, and I call it the inception point of Cuddles Foundation, is I stood outside a room, and from outside the room I could see a mother and a child. The mother's back was towards me.
Yeah.
The child was in the mother's lap, so I couldn't see the child's face, but
Yeah.
I saw the child's feet, which was dangling from the mother's lap. And that child had the black thread, Vinian's tie, the evil eye black thread,
Right.
on the same feet as that of my daughters. And I thought, oh my God, my baby could have been here, and it's just luck that that mother's on the other side of the door, and I'm on this side of the door. And as someone has very aptly said that nothing moves you to action than empathy, right?
So
as
true.
human beings, just
Yeah.
the feeling that I could have been there, my child could have been there, my grandparents could have been there. I think the kind of movements empathy started there. Everywhere you look, it's empathy which has moved people.
Right.
It was just that. You call it selfish, call it divine. I mean, I just thought that when I saw my daughter Ahana there, I was like, I need to do something more. So I went to the head of social services and I said, what can I do? And she told me something really strange, Payal. She said, Purnota, we have enough funding for treatment, but we don't get funding for nutrition. And that blew my mind, because as Indians, food is the central theme of everything for us, right? Our celebrations are around food.
Yeah.
Even our sadness is around food. Like, you go to anybody's chotha, there's lunch. It's all around food.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, we feed the crows and the cows. So why are these kids not getting nutrition? Anyway, so we started, Gunjan and I, my husband and I, started donating. We moved our funding from treatment to nutrition. And every time Tata Memorial had a requirement, they would call us.
Right.
And soon the requirement surpassed what me and my husband could do it, even on a stretch budget.
Right.
So we started tapping into friends, and we started going to friends and saying, hey, you don't need a gift for your birthday. How many bottles of wine do you need? And everybody was happy to contribute. Friends of mine, I remember, didn't take a wedding gift, and they asked the guests to instead of giving them a gift, write a check for Cuddles Foundation. And that's how we started. But the impact was so massive, because it's really common sense, right? Sick child plus food is equal to treatment. So our impact numbers were beautiful, and in 6 years, we've gone from 1 hospital to 30 hospitals across the country, and 20 cities across the country.
Wow.
So
what is your model? I mean, how do you, when you say that you've gone to so many hospitals, what is it that you do with these hospitals? What is your association with them? What is the contribution? What is the impact? That so many hospitals are now inviting you to come and be a part of their system.
So what we do is that when we tie up with a hospital, the first thing we do is capacity building. Okay. And what I mean by capacity building is we provide the hospital with a trained nutritionist who is a pediatric oncology nutritionist. So in a layman's term, she understands how nutrition interacts with cancer treatment.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
so she is the one who assesses each child each child's grade of malnourishment, and then based on her assessment, how a doctor writes a prescription for you. So to give you a simple example, if you have fever, you go to a doctor. The doctor assesses what kind of a fever is it. Is it just a flu? Is it malaria? Is it dengue? And once the doctor assesses it, the doctor writes medicines for you accordingly.
Right.
Similarly, our nutritionist assesses the grade of malnourishment in each child, and based on the grade of malnourishment and the kind of cancer, she writes down a nutrition prescription.
So it's like a nutrition plan for
it's a scientific nutrition plan, which is specific to cancer care.
Okay.
Because as you would know, most children get leukemia, the treatment for which is chemotherapy.
Right.
If a child is malnourished, you can't hook a child onto chemotherapy because the children have horrible side effects. Like they get seizures, their gut lining erodes. It's really bad. We were losing kids before Cuddles Foundation just because of the side effects. Now with the kind of nutrition we are able to give, we just have to manage those side effects because chemotherapy is aggressive and every child gets the side effects. So this nutritionist actually writes a prescription that will bring up their scale of nourishment. So if they're severely malnourished, bring them up to a nourished state, which will enable them to take treatment. And then she actually manages the side effects.
Okay.
So that's what we do. So our first program...
So again, manages the side effects with nutrition.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
So now the first thing that we do is we provide a hospital with the nutritionist.
Right.
The second thing that we do is, because all these kids are underprivileged, whatever the nutrition prescription has, we actually provide that. So we do aid. Right?
Okay.
So we provide them with nutritional supplements, which are over-the-counter products.
Right.
We provide them with hot meals.
Okay.
And then we also provide them with ration bundles, which is actually food grains for a family of 4 that sustains them over the month. Because we saw lots of parents taking their kids back because they just couldn't afford to feed themselves or their kids or the other kids who were with them. So that's the second thing we do. So capacity building, aid.
Right.
The third thing we do is we do a lot of training with the parents.
So counseling
counseling and teaching them how to take care of their children's nutritional requirement and the limited income they have.
Right. And this is also after the treatment is completed.
They take back that knowledge and then they are making better food choices for themselves and their families.
Right.
So these are the 3 key things that we do with the parents at the hospital. Apart from that, I think another groundbreaking thing that we do is we do amazing training for our nutritionists currently in the country. There is no course for pediatric oncology nutrition. We've developed a very, very comprehensive and strong course with Tata Memorial Hospital.
Okay.
And now this course is being picked up by universities internationally.
Wow.
Yes, and
that's
it's being
amazing.
offered.
So you had specialists from the Tata Memorial Hospital who developed the course.
That's right.
Wow, that's
with
amazing.
Our nutritionists.
Yeah.
You're listening to a fusion of stories recounted for the first time ever by some fascinating people from across the globe with me, Payal, on this very unique and special podcast series, Melting Pot.
Wow.
So oncologists worked with our nutritionists
Yeah.
and backed on research that's available around the world. We developed a special program.
Wow.
So
That's incredible.
those are the 3 things that we do. Yeah.
If it's not brought to your attention, no one really focuses on how important the kind of nutrition. Everyone just focuses on, here is a child with cancer, underprivileged or not, and this is the treatment. But no one really understands the element of nutrition, which is, if you give the right nutrition, the treatment also probably will have a better result, right?
So, one of our missions is to create awareness that nutrition is step 1 and treatment is step 2. Because you can have all the funding in your account to get the best chemotherapy, best immunotherapy, but if your body is not able to take that treatment, that treatment is not going to take you too far. So pediatric cancer or otherwise, adult cancer, your body needs nourishment to withstand cancer treatment.
Yeah.
So I think nutrition is massively complementary to your treatment.
Right. Yeah.
Because one doesn't work in the absence of another. Only with nutrition you can't cure cancer.
Yeah.
And you can't cure cancer without nutrition. And this is something that, we talk about constantly. And now that there is awareness about it, we get invited to speak about it to groups of doctors. Our challenge initially, Payal, was for the first 2 years, we spoke to lots and lots and lots of doctors because doctors didn't know how important
I mean,
nutrition
they were just focused
was.
on their treatment, I
Correct.
guess. Yeah.
And then Tata Memorial did these massive conferences where 300, 400 doctors from around the country were invited to say, this is the impact of your treatment. So let me just tell you a very interesting, incident that happened.
Yeah.
Is that when the doctors, and way back in the 70s, the doctors found that pediatric cancer is massively curable. It's more curable than some of your common diseases. I was talking to someone at Columbia University who was telling me that in the West, the cure rates for leukemia is at 93%.
That's incredible.
That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
And most of these kids go to lead successful, productive lives. They have children, they have careers.
Yeah.
They get well.
Yeah.
So when doctors in early 80s got the protocols that worked very, very well in the West into India and administered the same treatment protocols in India, they found that our children just couldn't take treatment. And not only in India, doctors in all developing countries like your Africa, your Southeast Asia, those treatment protocols which were massively successful in the West were failures in this part of the world. And when they dug deeper, they found that in the West, they didn't have the problem of malnutrition.
Correct.
So in the early, or maybe around 2010, lots of research and work went into figuring out what do we do to take our success rates higher. And nutrition was found to be one of the key factors. And then the doctors at Tata Memorial took it upon themselves to do conferences, conclaves, to really share these studies with all the doctors in the country. And that's how important nutrition is.
Yeah, wow, that's incredible. So I was reading somewhere that, you've actually helped over 18,000 children, underprivileged children, the holistic nutrition to them. Yeah, and so all over the country.
Yes.
So what are next steps now for Cuddles Foundation?
Right. So it's very interesting that you asked this because we have just come away from this 5 days of intense soul searching around where do we go from here.
Right.
And we are fairly confident that in the next 2.5 years, we will cover 80% of all children under cancer care in the country.
80%.
80%.
Wow, that's very ambitious, but I think possible.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So those are the next steps, and we are very, very keen to go to tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Okay.
Because for 2 reasons actually. Number one, that a lot of regional centers are coming up.
Right.
Because the government has found that children from far-flung areas have to come into cities, which is incredibly hard. The parents can't take care of themselves, the kids. We lose so many kids to abandonment. So regional centers are really important. So A, we go wherever large regional centers are.
Right.
And B, I think that we have a model that's a fairly plug-and-play model.
Okay.
And we now know how to administer this model in hospitals which are smaller format hospitals. They don't necessarily have to be a Tata Memorial taking care of 3,000 kids a year.
Right.
So that's where we want to go, really.
But then would they have, systems in place for the treatment? I mean, yes, you would put in the nutrition aspect to it, but would they be geared for the treatment for the cancer? I mean,
Yes. Of course. So one of the criterias, actually, there are a few criterias that we see before tying up with a hospital.
Okay. Yeah.
One of the criterias is that it has to have a certain number of beds.
Okay.
It has to have certain equipment.
Right.
It has to have a doctor who's really dedicated and motivated, because, nutrition is that additional thing the doctor has to do with the nutritionist. The doctor needs to champion it.
Yeah.
Without the doctor's support, we can't succeed.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, that the new centers we go to would have all of these things.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like I said, that if they don't, nutrition doesn't work in isolation.
Yeah. I mean, like you've rightly said, I mean, it goes hand in hand.
Yes.
And as you've said, a little earlier, that it's first the nutrition and then the treatment.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. That's so amazing. I mean, I'm really happy that, you were able to find time and come and talk to me. And it's, good luck to, there's another point which I wanted to very quickly bring up, is the fact that your team is an all-women team.
Yes.
So
yes, we are.
Was this deliberate, or did it just organically happened, or
No, this was really deliberate.
okay?
And it's not that I would not like to have more men.
Yeah.
But fortunately or unfortunately, I wanted a team. So I wanted to solve the world's biggest problems, Payal.
Yeah.
We need to have the best people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And with the salaries that a not-for-profit gives, not only in India, anywhere in the world, you cannot bring in professionals from Kellogg, IIM, ISB. It's very hard.
Yeah.
But since I'm a woman who's had a career, I do understand that women who've had very successful careers drop out because the current system and the current work system, how it's structured, is not very conducive for women. Women, at the end of the day, also are responsible for families.
Right.
So what I did is that I was able to build in a structure which would attract the best talent, but give them the flexibility that they require to run kids' lives, their parents' lives. We're responsible for multiple things, right?
Yeah.
So that attracted really bright, smart professionals who wanted to have a career which looked like a career, but also were responsible parents or daughters or kids,
wanted
whatever.
that flexibility,
Which
but
is
they
why
needed to have the passion.
They needed to have the passion.
Yeah.
They're the best from the fields. Like, for example, Shioli, who heads Major Gifts for Us, has had a long, illustrious career in banking. Preeti from Programs, again, banking. Anisha, the best, she heads marketing for us, the best ad agencies, and is able to come and head marketing for Cuddles. So if you see our collaterals, if you see, our website, we are setting benchmarks for how not-for-profit collaterals or visuals should look. We keep hearing that other not-for-profits are referencing ours, and that's such a compliment.
That's
so
the story.
Yes. So that is the reason why it so happened that it's all women's.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, good luck with everything. More power to women.
More power to women.
And also more nutrition, and I mean, I'm sure you will achieve the 80% target that you have for over the next 2.5 years. I'm sure you're going to get there with the kind of passion that I see with you, and and the couple of team members that I've also met between yesterday and today. So thank you so much again, Purnota. I mean, it's just been an incredible conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
And I'm going to keep following, up on what Cuddles is doing. And for all my listeners, please do get on to cuddlesfoundation.com.
.org now.
I think it's .org. That's what I saw it as. I've done my research. And do see in whatever way you're able to contribute will be amazing. So before I end, I know I just keep thinking of things to ask you, and I'm sure at the end of the conversation I'll say, oh no, I should have asked lots of other stuff as well. But anyways, very quickly, I just wanted to know, for my listeners who are not from India, so they're not physically there, what kind of contributions do you think they could make to the cause?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for asking that. I was hoping that you did.
Well, I mean, I 2 points to me on that.
Okay, so it's very interesting that there are so many ways we can contribute to any cause in the world, and someone very bright from Singapore taught me very good terms for it. So the first is that people can contribute, of course, by the gift of their wealth and abundance.
Yeah.
They can choose to support children's nutrition for a year, 2 years. Go on the site and look up more around that.
Right.
The other one is actually gift of voice, what you are giving me, right? And what you do.
Yeah.
Because very, very few people know how important nutrition is in the treatment of cancer.
Okay.
So just talking about this cause and also talking about that there is a foundation that addresses that is very, very helpful.
Okay.
Not only from the point of view of generating awareness for funding and networks, etc. Also, lots of people write into us saying, my child is suffering, what is it that I can do? So you can really connect somebody who needs us to the cause.
Okay. Yeah.
So the second is gift of voice.
Yeah.
And the third, of course, is gift of network, which is that if you're in an organization that has CSR funding, which is as an organization that supports causes around health or children, we are a very, very beautiful fit. And, connect us to your organizations. Speaking opportunities. I love speaking opportunities and talking about this cause. Yeah. And this cause is not only pertinent to India, this cause is pertinent to every developing country where the issue of malnourishment exists. Yeah. So, speaking engagements are the other opportunities that I would love to, show up and speak or do podcasts or talk to people over the call. That would be very, very helpful. Okay. So again, gift of wealth, gift of voice, gift of time.
Gift of time,
Yeah. So if you're a professional, and if you have certain skill sets, the way you were telling me today that I could do voiceovers for you, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for that, though. So gift of time is the other thing. Yeah. And gift of influence, CSR, friends, networks. Yeah. So these are the 4 ways that people can really tune in, help the cause, take it forward.
Great. Okay, so listeners, I hope you got that. And thank you once again. And we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Payal. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye. What I have learned and understood from my conversation with Purnota is that if the right kind of nutrition is provided, it becomes the key element in improving health. And it's so heartening to know that when it pertains to children who are suffering from cancer, with the correct nutrition, they are able to complete their treatment and they go home and they're with their families again. I think it's just so amazing. I believe that if malnutrition is addressed right from the start of the treatment, it benefits the child and it enables the treatment to be even more smoother. It's so unfortunate that malnutrition is such a frequent cause of death in underprivileged children who have cancer. Purnota and the Cuddles Foundation, they are addressing this very important issue and they're making all the difference that they can. It gives you so much hope. I've learned a lot from my chat with Purnota. Do support and extend a hand in whatever way you can to help them to continue with the good work. Until the next episode of Melting Pot, this is Payal signing off.